Good morning, coffee moaners and groaners.
Good morning, coffee moaners. You can speak? Or shall I?
I just did. Good morning, everyone. If you're listening on podcast, welcome. The sort of stuttering start. We are just waiting for the see, it's just YouTube plonks an advert at the front, and so sometimes there's a bit of a pause. How are we all? Hope everyone's well this morning. What are we? What date is it? Tuesday the... What is it? Tuesday the...
22nd.
This is a big week. It's GCSE week. It's a big week.
Yeah, got me starting to get...
Big week in many regards.
Yeah.
GCSEs, birthdays, you name it, all sorts going on this week. So, yeah, interesting. And obviously, this is the day after Lucy Letby, the new grisly and horrendous and most newly notorious serial killer, was sentenced to a true life sentence. Only one of four women. One of four women that have been sentenced in that.
Is Rose West one?
Rose West is one. Myra Hindley was one.
Yeah.
And the other one, who's the other one? The other one, it's not Beverly Allett. I was surprised it's not Beverly Allett. It was...
Beverly Allett isn't a full
No.
How many babies did she kill?
Three. I think she
That
killed
they
three.
knew of?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
So
God.
Rose West... Joanna Dennehy, who murdered three men. And so she's serving a whole life term too. Yeah, Rose West.
I've never heard of Joanna.
Joanna Dennehy, not heard of her. Myra Hindley, and I have heard of Beverly Allett, and I was staggered that Beverly Allett hadn't been. In fact, she's due for parole, or was, in 2021.
Did she go into a mental institute or did she go into prison?
Don't know.
I wonder if that made a difference.
So anyway, so we're going to be talking about that, but we're going to be kind of coming at it from the perspective of her friend, one of whom has spoken to Panorama, who also, says that she speaks for other friends who choose not to believe what's actually happened unless they actually hear it from Lucy Letby herself. So we're going to talk about that. We've got another angry bride. This bride is angry, and this
is a bridezilla on
crack.
Well, I wasn't going to say crack.
Why?
I don't know. I think we say it a bit too much.
Well, it kind of diminishes it really strongly.
No, on steroids. This is bridezilla on steroids. This is the bridezilla of all bridezillas. This made me laugh. I said to Mark, can this actually be a thing? Could anyone be
disconnected?
Bonkers and disconnected.
Well, hold your horses. Hold on to that one. That's
and if you've got any good bridezilla stories, or were you able to recognise yourself in any bridezilla moments?
Yeah.
Can perfectly nice people turn into bridezillas,
Well,
or is it always there in them? I mean, this story we're going to tell you about. It's she must always have been like that. She must.
Well, I think everyone can have... Well, we'll talk about it. Everyone will have their bridezilla moment. And I suppose what you do is anyone who sees someone having a moment and it's in a wedding, it's a bridezilla moment.
I genuinely didn't. Because I was so
Not even around the lemon meringue?
disconnected. No, I got the lemon meringue.
I'm joking.
I ordered a whole one and I got one.
So, and apparently it's suggested that we are now a nation of coffee lovers, not tea lovers. So I want to get your opinions on that. Do you prefer tea? Do you prefer coffee? And we want to talk about gross habits. Yeah, gross habits like picking your nose, chewing your fingers, eating earwax, not washing, all these kind of things.
I tried earwax once, it was horrible. And now I can't eat Brussels sprouts because of it.
Yeah, no, I always love that when you say
Because Brussels sprouts taste exactly like earwax.
It's an incredibly evocative comparison.
Well, now they don't because they modified them more, so they've taken that earwax flavour out.
Maybe your earwax has changed.
No, I don't eat my earwax. This is when I did try my earwax.
And believe you and me, there's a lot of earwax knocking about in those lug hole. I tell you, love the phrase lug hole. Where does lug come from? Lug hole. Is it because you would get them by the ear and lug them around?
Oh, that's a good.
Do you know what I mean?
Anyone got any ideas where the lug hole?
Is it because of lugging? You know when you lug something.
Oh, I'm going to lug you by your ear.
It's a bit beano.
Can you pull somebody's ear off?
Yes, I've seen many Well, have you not seen rugby players with no ear?
No, but that's its bit. But could you literally pull it?
Well, I mean, not neatly, not like a.
Anyway, let's not talk about this.
You could tear an ear off.
Oh, let's not talk about it. Don't bring things up like that. It's horrible.
You did. It's like yesterday, someone else contacted me privately yesterday and said, Mark, I just wanted to say that you weren't the first to swear yesterday.
I was the first to swear, but I swore once. You swore 5 times in a row, and it was too much. It's too much. You start showing off. As soon as somebody swears, you think you can just swear as much as you like. And can everybody stop sticking up for him and encouraging him?
Hang on a minute. Everyone sticks up for you. Everyone finds me insufferably annoying. I get loads of messages from people saying, for fuck's sake, can you just shut the fuck up, stop banging on, you're constantly annoying, you never let her talk, da-da-da. Mind you, I get lots of messages saying, look, you're going to like one or the other of us better. It's a fact. We get it. But yeah, no, what was the other thing? Oh, lots of people saying about, it was
Keep
funny.
swearing, says Claire.
It was a very funny home time. If I say so myself, I was laughing out loud.
I just want to ask you this question, guys. Oh, it's hard for you though, because
if you're listening on
regularly...
podcast, home time means Nadia likes to use the phrase a reality show.
I still think a lot of people of my age do not know what a vlog is.
Yeah, my nan still doesn't.
I'm not the age of your nan.
No, sorry, my mum still doesn't know what
I'm
a
not
vlog
the age
is.
of your mum.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Talking about my age, still don't know what a vlog means. You'll say it and they'll go, what's that? But they know what reality show means.
Yeah.
And it is a reality show, unlike anything on telly, because you keep in all the stuff that an executive producer wouldn't be allowed to keep in. And you keep in the stuff that I tell you not to, because people have told me. Because I can't bear to watch it. I never watch it.
Hang on. What we all like about this channel, and what lots of people say about things from the curly cooks to really honest movie reactions, even when the whole world is saying some film is great and we think it's not, or I think it's not, or we individually think it's not, we'll say it. We're not afraid. It's not like, we're not just promoting vanilla. So those bits that I keep in, yes, sometimes I take it to the edge when you say don't put them in, but I also bleep. But
you don't bleep enough.
A lot of telly programmes don't understand what's not funny, but what's a bit more interesting than the same old shit being churned out. I mean, that's why I like the Osbournes. Whoever was producing the Osbournes, you never knew what was going to walk into frame at any point.
Yeah, so many things, you just see the formula running towards you, don't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, does everyone... So, like, obviously you know, but do you think vlog is yet a word that is understood?
It never appears in the title. Never appears in the title.
No, but to home time, what does that mean? I think we've got.
Well, I think yeah, you're right. I think for everyone on the channel who knows the channel, you know what that means. But what do you call it? What are you suggesting?
I think it's the Sawalha-Adderleys reality show. I think that's what it is.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but it says what it is. It's on the tin. It
says what it is.
Who's going to pick something up that they don't know what it means on the tin?
Well, the Osbournes was just the Osbournes, and the channel's
Yeah,
called
but
the
we're not
Sawalha-Adderleys.
famous.
No, I know, but we're called the What do you think? The Osbournes was so radical as reality TV. It was.
It was. Oh my
really
God,
was.
it was absolutely brilliant. She's one of my favourite people. I love her. I've met her a couple of times on List.
Erin Bullimore, it means video log, which everyone would understand vlog is just slang. I think, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I think you guys are all quite
No, because you've just grown up with it.
Manner.
I think if you haven't, yeah. Anyway.
A new title for each vlog, I think, maybe. Just maybe no title. Maybe just a different, maybe you don't have the home time thing. It seems a shame. I feel sort of, yeah, okay. I don't know if I agree. Also, do you have an Anne finally for today? Are you going to share that? Yeah. Okay, cool. So what do you want to talk about first? I want to talk about Lucy Letby and less about, obviously, the sentencing, which is right. We talked yesterday about how difficult the pros and cons of her, for the victims of her not appearing in court, not facing her sentence, not hearing their victim statements, impact statements. But the thing that the piece came up last night in the Evening Standard, which I thought was just interesting, and this was written by a woman who's written a book about the pressures of female friendship, or the myths, if you like, of female friendship. And Claire Cohen, who's written a book called BFF, I think it's called, yeah, BFF, The Truth About Female Friendship. Now, this could be seen as a cynical attempt to kind of, attach the story to her book in the hope to sell books. But she talks about the idea, because we are in this curious situation where a school friend of Lucy Letby's called Dawn was speaking on Panorama, and she said that her and a wider group of friends stand by her. I mean, I don't know if this is still the case after the court case or whatever, but she did say something along the lines of, here we go, I grew up with Lucy, and not a single thing that I've seen or witnessed of Lucy would let me for a moment believe she's capable of the things she's accused of. It's the most out-of-character accusation you could ever put against her. Think of your most kind, gentle, soft friend and think that they're being accused of harming babies. Unless Lucy turned around and said, I'm guilty, I will never believe that she's guilty. That paragraph, coupled with this article, led me to the kind of coffee moaning Instagram post, which I was curious to chat with Nadia about, which is, you know, can we be such a profoundly bad judge of character? I mean, that in and of itself is not a crime for them to not believe what she's done. I mean, vast numbers of people could not believe she was doing what she was doing, which is why you could argue this has happened. But is it the pressures of female friendship? Are there pressures around staying friends and loyal despite what your friends are and who they are? I mean, this woman likes to suggest that there's a best friends forever kind of pressure, specifically on women.
I think there's like a couple of things in there. First of all, I think that you should never be attacked if you have had a bad judge of character, because I think that people can be extraordinarily manipulative. I mean, a narcissistic psychopath or a narcissist is often the most cunning person that you will ever come across in your life, and they will stop at nothing to play the game to make you believe that there's somebody that they're not. So to ever be attacked for that, I think is just wrong. They will be attacked for this. They will be. They will be. And I don't think that that's fair. I can think of a couple of situations where I've been very loyal to people that other people have felt are this or that and been really attacked for it. But like, I'm trying to think about friends that I have, and this is not on the toxic, pressured side, because I think that is I think that's an extra bit to the conversation. And I think, what is loyalty and what is blind loyalty? For me, loyalty is loyalty, right? So blind loyalty would be if somebody said to me, here is the absolute clear evidence. Here is the clear evidence that your friend has done this, this, this or that.
Yeah.
And I still go, no, they couldn't have.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So that would be like blind loyalty. But loyalty to me, like if my friend was accused of something absolutely horrendous, I'm just running through all my friends, I wouldn't be able to just believe that.
Right.
Because they've been accused of it.
Right.
Because I believe that all my friends are really good and decent and caring and people.
Right.
You know, who would you have as a friend if you believed that they could murder babies? Nobody. Nobody would have anybody that's a friend.
Yeah, I mean, this is an extreme case.
So this is a very extreme case. But say, for instance, if you made it
Isabella,
something much more,
Willow.
much more day to day.
Yeah.
You know, that somebody came to me and said about another friend of mine, oh my God, you can't believe what they did. They did this, and it just sounded completely out of character. I'm not going to believe that person.
But if you're then presented with, I mean, I think
if you're then presented with a video with them doing it, and you still say they didn't do it, that's blind.
So that's
loyalty.
interesting. So what you're saying in a weird way, there's blind loyalty is regardless of the facts, regardless of the evidence, it's a refusal to, and in a sense that is total denial. But you can still be. Are you saying you can still be loyal to? So could they still be a friend to this woman, even if they have irrefutable proof that she's done it?
Well, they believe that none of the evidence
stacks up.
I
mean, a few people have said that. It's bizarre. Her friends are disgusting, says Tony Dunsford.
That's an interesting angle. And I know a lot of people will feel like that. But I just imagine, so they really, really believe she didn't do this. And maybe why they're talking out is that they're very, very scared because they believe whoever did do it is still doing it. That's the other thing you've got to think about. Like, why would you come forward and say it? Because you know you're going to get shit. But if you passionately believe your friend has been wrongly convicted, you're also going to have to passionately believe that the person is still out there who's done this. And therefore more babies are in danger. Yes. Yeah. It's like the guy, who just did 17 years for rape, Andrew Macclesfield. I listened to all his podcasts actually before he was released, and his terror at the thought that that man was still out there I mean, he stayed in prison for so much longer than he needed to because he said, if I admit at some point the person that did this must be put away because he was so dangerous. And he did like 7 more years because he refused to say he did it when he hadn't done it.
Yeah.
You know, so what if these friends really do believe their friend and also are very worried? I don't think they're disgusting. I genuinely don't, but I understand why some people do.
But I think if she's been found guilty, I mean, it does strike me as odd that you, at this point. I mean, again, the interview didn't happen. I'm presuming it can't have happened. The interview didn't happen after the verdict. So, you know, the fact that the verdict's come through, I wonder. I'd be fascinated to know where they're at in their sort of friendship or their understanding of her. I think
verdicts. I mean, I 100% believe she did it, and I'm very glad that she's going to be put away for life. But I've just given another example of a man that was put away for 17 years. Verdicts are not always right. So often people are in prison that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is interesting. Reese Roberts, loyalty should encompass being able to hold a friend accountable and have tough, uncomfortable conversations if a circumstance demands it. Sometimes you have to protect other people from a friend. Someone else just...
But Reese, you know, I would imagine they have had uncomfortable conversations with her where they've said, you know, I just can't believe, is there any truth in this? I can't believe they didn't have a conversation. But what if she is a master manipulator, a narcissist. Narcissists lie, they are the greatest actors. So I feel sorry for her friends. I don't feel angry for her friends because I've seen many narcissists in my life and I've seen many people victims of narcissists, and it is a horrible thing to witness.
I would argue that for me, my sense of this story looking at it is that the friends are as much victims within...
Claude has said exactly the same thing.
Are as much victims within the sort of collateral damage of this as I'm sure countless work colleagues are. I'm not talking about those people who were responsible for sending it almost to another bloody child unit, or, you know, the idea that there's a cover-up of some sort here. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those colleagues and people and families who will have felt that there was a sort of honesty and a genuineness to her that was real. You're right. I do think we are dealing with here, and I think we have to accept it, is narcissism, because I think, you know, some of the sort of aspects of her story that I'm seeing around bitterness, around not being kind of promoted in a certain way, not being the centre of attention, making herself...
But she must have gone through a psychiatric assessment. Did they say she'd been diagnosed?
But the problem with narcissistic personality disorder is it's not, as we discovered in the Johnny Depp trial, it's not actually a cast iron.
No, I know, but I just wondered whether there had been
I think there always is
a report.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I always think there must be some kind of narcissistic. I think she sits at the sort of... you know, the messianic kind of control.
The way that she wanted to be in the centre of every death.
Exactly.
She wanted to be safe. She wanted to be...
Yeah. So I think the friends, we can all be a bad judge of character. We can all wrongly judge people. But I also think what's interesting in this piece about misplaced loyalty is also recognising that people across time, these are school friends with these girls. Across time, people change. And I think we, as a culture, there's another story we were going to talk about best friends on holiday. As a culture, we sort of put a lot of pressure on friendships for life. And maybe, I don't know, I'm not a woman. Is there more pressure on women to maintain friendships or not?
We've talked about this beforehand. We've touched on this before here. And also, in our Agony Aunt and Uncle podcast, we've answered a couple of problems on this where people have been, felt that pressure to maintain that friendship that has gone toxic. And I think there's enormous pressure on women to do that. And I think you can grow out of friendships, like you can grow out of a platonic friendship in the way that you can in a sexual relationship. And and I've said this before on here, but if a woman is talking to a group of women about a relationship that they might be in with their partner, which is toxic and controlling or boring or whatever, that group of women will be 100%, oh God, get out of the relationship. But when it comes to friendships, it's supposed to last forever no matter what. And I just don't believe that. I think you can fall out of love with your friends, and that's okay.
I also think the narcissist spell can also really lure friends into an incredibly codependent relationship. And I think narcissists know how to find friends and attach themselves to friends that are lacking something in themselves, that deliver to the narcissist a fix or their supply. And they do this thing, narcissists, of I don't know what creature is it, despite, it sort of teases them, sometimes a bit like, when a cat gets a mouse, it sort of plays with you, leaves you a bit, waits for you to want a bit more. So I'd be fascinated to know that, what the nature of these friendships were and are, and how they kind of, developed over years. I'm sure there's a power
really
balance
sorry
there.
for them.
Yeah,
Because
they're caught in a spell.
Because they are going to have to let go of they may become consumed by it. That if they really believe that a terrible injustice has been done to their friend, that will affect their entire lives. Imagine if you really believe your friend hasn't done it and they're in prison till the end of their days. I would be consumed if a friend of mine was in prison and I believed they'd been wrongfully convicted. Oh my God, I don't think I'd be able to say. I'd be obsessed.
Yeah. Francisca Bastos, yes, Nads, thanks for saying it. I'm in my early 30s and it's the time that this natural selection of friends starts happening, and it can be heartbreaking, but so needed. Faith Goodman, watch interviews with Professor David Wilson. He's fascinating to listen to about murderers like her. He says their personality is so sly and controlling, but come over as a lovely person when you meet.
Can I write that down? David Wilson on YouTube. I love
Professor David Wilson.
I love your recommendation.
Someone else said, sorry, I just wanted to read. Oh yeah, Chloe H. I've had to remove myself from my absolute best friend of 18 years as she's done something in my eyes unforgivable, not towards me, and it's been so awful. A true grieving process for me.
Oh, who's that?
Chloe H.
Oh, sweetheart. It is grieving. It's a death. It feels like a death, doesn't it? And
I can well believe there are more pressures on women for this BF. Can I just say, I fucking hate the acronym BFF. What does it mean?
Infantilizing of women always, isn't it?
Best friends forever.
Best friends forever.
But you see, and I think obviously we talk a lot about how a lot of men, as they get older, become more and more isolated and less connected socially. And so I don't think it is the same pressure for men in the way that it is for women. And this is the opposite end of the spectrum, if you like, is staying in, feeling you have to stay in friendships that are toxic for you must be awful.
I'm just thinking about that problem that we answered on Agony Up Uncle a couple of weeks ago. Such a lovely girl. I could just tell by her letter about her friend. And obviously her friend had had all the control for a long time. And then her friend was doing well, was in a good relationship, was like having, work was going well. And clearly from reading the problem, the friend just had a massive problem with that and had dumped the friend. And and my answer to that was, I feel so sorry for that friend because she wasn't able to move with you and grow with you and be joyful for you. And what's that word we used the other day? Compersion. When you just have the joy in somebody else's joy and you need nothing from it. That's what I need from my friends. That's what I have from oh my God, I get goosebumps just thinking about, like Hannah and Cass and Tits. Like we literally, you can see us, like we get goosebumps when something happens for the other, everything. And that's what you need from all my friends are like that. I wouldn't have any friends that I didn't feel had joy for me. If I have to hide my light under a bushel, then I do that with enemies. Why would I do that with friends? And if I felt somebody wasn't happy for me having a good day, like some friends are like, yeah, but how's everything else? They're always wanting to hear the negative.
Look, I'm telling you now, the vast majority...
can't even be bothered to hear when things are bad. You know what I mean? Might just want to have the headline that things are bad, but don't actually want to listen to you.
It's not even so-called friends. It's really odd how curious how so many people who are close to you or care for you are actually only really interested when things go wrong for you. So
a lot of that today.
Well, because afterwards I go let's talk about coffee and tea. We've become a nation of coffee lovers. What do you guys prefer, guys? Type
I'm
it now.
really surprised about this. Is this really true?
Well, this is, let's have a look. Who's done the survey? It's a Cleveland, Ohio. No, it's not. A Statista consumer survey. Who the hell is Statista? I don't know. 63% of us regularly drink coffee compared to just 59% who drink tea. I mean,
I know more people I know drink coffee than drink tea.
I don't drink tea anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally, one of the problems with tea for me is, and I think this is a huge part of it, is even the pods, there's an instancy, or there's a sort of an immediacy to coffee that there isn't with the tea bag. There's the cryptic arts, there's the ancient arts, there's that, I go to say, offer you a cup of tea, and a huge part of me dies inside.
But
because
it's caring.
No, I know that caring side.
The ritual of tea.
But that's what makes
lovely.
me go over. Yeah, that's what makes me go
But
over.
the ritual of tea. So as you know, I am now a coffee drinker, but wasn't before menopause, and I have to have my coffee every day now, and it's a really treat, and it's lovely. But I'm a tea addict as well, and will be all my life. And I think I grew up. My father's Arabic, and it is the ritual of the tea. I mean, my God, I used to love it when we'd go back to Jordan, and every shop you went into, every shop, even if you popped in for a bloody box of washing powder, they would give you tea, and the tea would be like these pops, pouring it up and down like this high.
That is very magical, yeah.
And then back down this high, and then like 6 spoonfuls of sugar,
Yeah.
and and then sucking it through the teeth. The ritual of tea, and I think before the tea bag. And my mum and dad still make their tea, loose tea, in a teapot. Warm the teapot. I mean, I remember as kids, my dad warming the teapot. And I think everything has become so
quick.
That's
why coffee's succeeding.
And food, we're all having so many takeaways, everything. It's the ritual of cooking, for me, is like a loving thing. Like Mark would say, oh, can you get me a coffee? And I go, would you like a cappuccino? Because actually I want to heat the milk and like froth the milk and do all of that stuff, because I actually think it's a pause in the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Natasha Tiramos. Hi, Natasha. Nothing beats a good cup of tea on a rainy day, especially if you drink it staring out the window. I've got to...
Staring out the window.
I've got to a point now where I'm so intolerant of tea, I actually punch tea bags.
Oh, Mark.
No, I do. I surreptitiously tear them. No, I don't. I don't do that, but someone does.
Do you know what?
No, I don't.
Mark,
I don't.
You have been doing that.
I
because
have not.
I have never, ever had burst tea
I have not been
bags.
sabotaging the tea
Well,
box.
Mark, that is weird. Because why am I suddenly getting split tea bags and I've never got them before?
Funny you should say that, because the last time I went to make you a cup of tea, I thought, bloody hell, someone's really not tearing these tea bags off properly.
And it was you.
No, it wasn't me, because you are so difficult with your tea. I always use tea bags, even when you say don't make it strong.
But then I can't drink it.
But I don't put them in for very long. So
I don't want
merely
to
show...
tea bag.
No, because
Why?
because the colour you want it, you can't get it unless the tea bag has soaked.
I only want that colour in the day. In the night, I don't want that colour because
want
I won't sleep.
I only want that colour in the day, not in the night. But then it's manuka,
But it's
then
the
it's
only
maple
thing
syrup.
you make me.
Then it's the babe.
That's the only thing you make me. Why don't you make it just beautifully? It's a poem.
It's not.
It's a poem.
Yeah,
a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, beautifully made, like sprinkle of coconut sugar or a bit of maple
I'm a tea
syrup on the
saboteur.
coffee. Like when somebody brings a beautiful cup of coffee, it's like, even when you go into a coffee shop and they've done it all beautifully and they've put like a heart, and you just like, I always go, oh my God, that's so beautiful. It's like a little present in the day. And you don't ever even ask me if I want a cup of tea anymore, and it makes me sad.
That's not true. I did
If
the
I
other
was
night.
your girlfriend, you would ask me if I want a cup of tea.
That is not true.
Yes,
That's
you
not
would.
true. Well, it is true.
It is true.
Because you've actually
I'm now a wife.
sucked, hoovered, and just removed the guts of any joy in making a cup of tea. You really have. You've made it a stressful enterprise. It's so contrary. It's so contrary. Sometimes I need to pour the tea on one leg with my left elbow out the window and with the sun
Sometimes
passing
I
through
like
the...
a green tea, and sometimes I like a builder's.
I'll
And
make
at
you a
night-
cup of tea straight after this.
I've just had one, I don't
But
mind.
I do think the reason coffee is so successful is the speed. It's the speed, the efficiency, the convenience. My dad gave up coffee after he was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Now, both my parents and most of my family only drink tea, apart from me, who only drinks hot coffee. Is that the one you wanted to read?
No, it was something
Sorry,
else.
Sil.
But yeah, no, but nice to hear
Sorry,
from you,
Sil.
Sil. No, it was something about. Oh, I've lost it now.
No, it's gone. Really only a tea drinker. I mean, a lot of you seem to be tea drinkers. Natasha, you're right. Tea feels mindful. Coffee feels, go get it, baby. Go and do it. Now, for me, I have a moment in the
Even
day.
a cappuccino.
I have a moment. For me, the end coffee of my day is God almighty, I'm getting old, is an oat milk cappuccino. I went into a coffee shop yesterday and I said, can I have an oat milk cappuccino, please? And there was a pause. I said, I'm so sorry for sounding like such a fucking wanker. I said,
Did you swear in the coffee shop?
Yeah, she pissed herself laughing.
Oh, Mark.
I said, I'm so sorry. I said, oat milk cappuccino. I said, there was a time when people used to order cappuccinos, and I used to work with someone who used to order them, and I'd say to him, going to get your cappy wappy wappy woo. You know,
Who would say
a cappy
that? Who
wappy
says a
woo.
cappy
He
wappy?
used to say, I'm going to go and get my cappy. Well, that's why it's someone I work with. I'm going to go and get my cappy wappy woo. And I'd be like,
well, I
what's
don't
a
think you should
cappy
judge everyone that likes a nice slow coffee by him. He's obviously into
I like a nice slow coffee against a wall.
Cappy wappy woo.
That's not what I call it. I think you're conflating. I don't think you're listening. You're texting.
I'm not texting. I'm finding this.
So anyway, so coffee, I think, yes. So it's like, you know, and also, we don't have tea shops, do we? Do you think there's kind of room in the market? Do you think there'll be a moment where we go slow and everyone will start to open tea shops like Starbucks?
that was an ambition of mine for a long time. I said, I'd love a nice tea shop. And then I was with this boyfriend. I had this boyfriend once who kept saying he'd like to get me a nice tea shop, and it gave me such the ick. I thought, I know why you want to get me a nice tea shop. So I sit in the back of a shop making tea.
This is a very odd story.
It's because he didn't want me to anyone else to see me.
And
It's a very odd story.
But he was using the cover of a tea shop to achieve
And I
this.
think he wanted me to have antiques as well. I was just like, oh no,
I'm
sorry.
trying to envision it. Suddenly,
I'm going to get rid
hang
of
on.
you.
Suddenly, you're feeling like, what was the name of that? What was the name of that antique dealer show that had? Oh God, what was the name of that antique dealer? The great Mike, whatever his name. Oh my God, I'm envisaging you as an antique dealing tea drinker. We have a tea shop. I think, is the tea shop still more of a thing outside of the city? I mean, in the city, I think Lovejoy. Thank you so much, Lovejoy. What was his name? What was Lovejoy's name? Ian McShane. I'm seeing you as Ian McShane now at the back of an antique shop, drinking tea. I think
we have similar hair.
I think tea sits outside of the urban diaspora. I think it's the urban fizz and funk and freneticness and franticness of city life means that a coffee is a great little partner just to fire you through. Basically, it's drugs. That's what it is.
Reese was just saying there's something about coffee and about how Starbucks always serve it lukewarm.
Tea.
And then charge a fortune.
Coffee.
Starbucks. You know, if you're trying to get a coffee early in the morning in a rush and you just hear those words from people, extra hot please, and you think, oh God, I'm going to be standing here for ages. Because they actually don't make it that hot.
Betty's Tea Room, we filmed there. Yeah, absolutely. We filmed there with Nigel. Kale says tea is a conversation drink. Coffee is a don't look at me drink.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, if somebody were to come into the house upset, I would make them a cup of tea.
David Shell.
I would never think of making them a coffee if they were upset.
Oh, what if they're upset?
Yeah.
I offer a coffee when I want us to have
sympathy,
a good old... But anyway, no, so that oat milk cappuccino for me is the moment that coffee intake stops. It's the soft landing. For me, the frothy top of a cappuccino is like a parachute chute helping me land.
Anne-Marie Franklin says that they have lots of lovely tea shops in her village. Oh God, I just
It's
was like
a rural
transported to the life of living in a village.
Yeah.
Where you go and have a cup of tea and you buy your newspaper from the local shop. So sick of living in London.
They do say that coffee drinking is a gateway drug to injecting ketamine into your eyeballs. Apparently it's always the next step. We're going to have ketamine bars any minute now. Okay, so moving on from coffee. Gross habits. Oh, no, we haven't done Angry Bride. We've got so many. Oh, what do we do?
Okay, let's quickly do Angry Bride.
Angry Bride, and then we'll save gross habits for tomorrow. So, yes, tell us about this.
So this bride, Susan,
that's actually her name?
cancelled her wedding to her long-term boyfriend because she couldn't afford it. She's American, this woman. She'd been relying, wait for this, on donations of $1,500 from each guest.
She's crowdfunding her wedding, essentially.
She crowdfunded her wedding, right? So she cancelled the wedding, and I love this. This is what she put on Facebook. How did this all come crashing down? Well, I invite you all on Facebook, players, bystanders, and side characters of the people in my life, to take a seat and listen.
She's deranged.
You're all involved somehow. Somehow everyone is wrapped into this mess. Even if you weren't invited to my wedding, I don't care. We'd sacrificed so much and only asked each guest for $1,500. We talked to a few people who even promised us more to make our dream come true.
She's monstrous.
My maid of honour pledged $5,000 along with her planning services. We tearfully thanked and accepted. My ex's family offered to contribute $3,000. Her exes. We made it clear if you couldn't contribute, you were not invited to our exclusive wedding. This is a once-in-a-lifetime
Hang on a minute.
party.
So you're only allowed to come to this party if you it's like those people in your life who only contact you and see no shade or are not at all embarrassed that the only time they contact you is for something rather than how you are.
Wait, it gets better. How was this supposed to happen without a little help from our friends? To make matters worse, my ex's family took back their offer. Suddenly, more people backed out, including the CUNT maid of honour,
Oh my
best
God.
friend since childhood,
Oh
my second family. She apparently only got $196 pounds in
She's
donation.
so nasty.
Her fiance suggested that they could get a cheap raggedy wedding ceremony in Las Vegas. Good on you, mate Flip. But Susan said, I just wanted to be a Kardashian for one day in my life, and you couldn't make this happen for me.
Oh my gosh, she says, I need to get away from this awful society. How hard would it
How
have
hard
been
would it have been to fucking donate, friends? Do I matter to you?
I'm cutting
Friendly
you
reminder, don't think you owe me.
And she signs off, I'm cutting all of you snakes off.
I'm living my life alone now.
Hang on a minute. There is such a profound disconnect between this woman and the real world. I mean, we're talking about judge of character. Everyone's just realised what a monster. They might be snakes, but she's
God knows whether it's true or not, and I'm sure this is an extremely rare situation, but it was just funny. I just love sometimes the barefaced cheek of people.
Flipping it. Well, there we go. Okay, well, we're gonna do gross habits another day, but yeah. So go and pick your nose.
We were thinking, you know how on the news we always used to have "and finally," and then they stopped doing it because apparently people turned off because nobody wanted any good news.
I like the and sillily.
And sillily. Well, you always do something silly.
Do a little silly story.
How would you feel about an "and finally," where we always just say a nice piece of news? I said this to Mark, and Mark said it made him feel sick.
Well, I'm going to do a poll quickly before we go. Would you like
At the end of Coffee Moaning.
At the end of Coffee Moaning, a sweet, happy, and finally, or a silly, sometimes rude, funny, surprising story? Fucking hell.
Good
no.
news story. No, it's not either. You did
Yes,
the
it is.
silly, and then "and finally" is good news.
A sweet, happy, and a sweet,
The "and
happy.
finally" comes after the silly bit. It's not an either or.
A sweet,
Do you
happy,
like good
and
news?
finally, or a silly, sometimes rude, funny story at the end. That's your choice.
I didn't mean for it to be a choice.
What
I'm
was your
saying-
poll?
poll was, do you like good news?
Oh no, I'm asking, would you like at the end of a sweet, happy, and finally, or would you like a silly, sometimes rude, funny story? Oh,
Look at you saying
no,
sweet,
no,
silly,
no, you're going to win.
sometimes
You're going to
rude.
win. No, you're going to win. It's just you're edging it out. Oh no, you were edging
And
it
look
out.
at the way he's worded it.
That's not true. Sweet, happy,
Sweet,
and
silly,
finally.
funny, rude.
Good
And
news.
like, good news or sweet. Look at the way you sold that. Look at you.
Oh, shush. Oh, well, I think, well, it's not clear. It's as close as Brexit. I think those numbers are suggesting it should be one or the other alternately.
I think it should be something silly and then and finally bit of good news, because I follow a lot of these Instagram accounts that pop out good news, and they work really hard at it, and they're always told that nobody wants to hear good news. If it leads, it bleeds, and it pisses me off, because good news actually makes me feel kind of nice.
We do make Fridays do become increasingly silly, don't they? Yeah, but look, we're looking just ever so slightly, 150 votes, ever so slightly silly, sometimes rude, funny story. I think, or a sweet, happy, and life-affirming, and finally.
Right. And right, diddly-do, come on, like two newscasters.
We're done.
And finally, I've got a story.
Oh, okay, and finally.
And finally, a good, heartwarming bit of news. I know they're going to like this.
Let me just finish that ketamine.
So, Lydia Rampin.
I'm already bored.
Had her beautiful 8-month-old dog. She turned away for a second and the dog ran off.
Oh no.
And the dog was missing for 2 years. Oh. And Lydia followed up every lead. She never stopped looking for her. She would go out, she did everything to find this dog. And then one day, it was just a random act of kindness. A man was driving along in his van, saw that this dog was on its own, picked it up, took it to the vet. The vet did the microchipping, and then she got this call, "We've got your dog," 2 years later.
Oh.
And the dog, when she went to pick up the dog went completely mad. And then, this is the beautiful and final moment, fell asleep in her lap.
Oh.
Don't you think that's so beautiful? Just fell asleep in her lap. I'm home. Because Lydia's lap was home.
What do you think, guys? What do you think? That's sweet. That is sweet.
She was stolen, you know.
Oh, yeah, she wasn't.
The dog was stolen, yeah. And she escaped to come back home.
Okay, well, we've got a...
Thank you,
We've got a little...
Lovely Nadja, the saying. Lovely.
No, it was lovely. It really was. It really was nice. So we've got a little happy birthday for Isabella Willow, who's 12 years old.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Isabella.
Sorry.
Happy birthday to you.
And finally, if you want to know what the funniest joke this year was at the Edinburgh Festival, and which won the Dave Award for Funny Joke, it was this. It was.
Oh, he's going to put a silly on the end of my finally.
I started dating a zookeeper.
Mark, you've just trampled over the and finally.
But it turned out...
You're supposed to leave people with a warmed heart.
I started dating a zookeeper, but it turned out he was a cheater. And on that note...
That's not an and finally.
It's the end, though.